I used to believe that love, real love, was blind. Not the foolish kind people warn you about, but the pure kind, the kind that trusts without counting the cost. The kind that believes your partner will never hurt you because they once promised forever. My name is Emily Carter, and for 7 years, I loved my husband with that kind of blindness. If someone had told me back then that the man sleeping beside me would one day become a stranger, that his smile would hide secrets sharp enough to tear my heart apart, I would have laughed. Because to me, Daniel Carter was everything. But love has a cruel way of turning memories into weapons, and mine would soon become unbearable. The morning everything started felt ordinary. That's the scariest part. I woke up before Daniel, as usual. The pale sunlight slipped through the curtains, landing softly on his face. I watched him sleep, his chest rising and falling in a rhythm I knew by heart. His hair was messy, his jaw relaxed. Nothing like the confident, successful man everyone admired. In that quiet moment, I felt safe. I always did. I slipped out of bed and went to the kitchen. Our apartment wasn't fancy, but it was warm, cozy, built with dreams and late-night promises. I brewed coffee, humming softly, already thinking about the anniversary dinner I was planning. 7 years of marriage deserved something special. I wanted to surprise him. I had no idea life was about to surprise me instead. Daniel came into the kitchen 10 minutes later, tying his tie, phone already in his hand. He barely looked up. "Morning," he said, distracted. "Morning," I replied, smiling. "Coffee's ready." He nodded, took a quick sip, then checked his phone again. Something flickered inside me, a tiny discomfort I ignored. Daniel had been distant lately. Not cold, not rude, just elsewhere. Like part of him was always in another room I couldn't enter. "You're working late again?" I asked casually. "Yeah," he said quickly. "Big project. You know how it is." I did know, or at least I thought I did. "I was thinking," I said, leaning against the counter, "maybe we could go out this weekend. Just us." "It's been a while." He paused for half a second, just long enough for my heart to notice. "We'll see," he replied. "This month's crazy. We'll see." Those words would later haunt me. People always said we were the perfect couple. Daniel, the rising corporate star. Me, the supportive wife who gave up a promising career in interior design to help him build his dreams. I told myself it was a joint decision, that sacrifices were part of love. I stood by him through job changes, sleepless nights, financial stress. I cooked, cleaned, encouraged, listened. When he doubted himself, I believed for both of us. And when he finally made it, when promotions started coming, when his suits got sharper and his phone calls more secretive, I told myself we were just entering a new phase. I never questioned his loyalty. Why would I? He never forgot my birthday. He hugged me before leaving for work. He said, "I love you," every night. But sometimes, love lies. The first crack appeared 3 weeks later. I was folding laundry when Daniel's phone buzzed on the bed. Once. Twice. 3 times. I didn't usually check his phone. We trusted each other. At least, I trusted him. But something about the persistence made me glance at the screen. Unknown number. Can't stop thinking about last night. My hands froze. I stared at the message, my heart thudding like it wanted to escape my chest. There could be explanations. A work message. A wrong number. A joke, right? The phone buzzed again. "I wish you were here instead of her." I felt the room spin. I dropped the folded shirt on the floor and stepped back, like the phone had burned me. My first instinct was denial. This couldn't be Daniel. Not my husband. Not the man who kissed my forehead every morning. When Daniel came home that night, I watched him closely. Too closely. He smiled. He asked about my day. He kissed my cheek. I wanted to scream. Instead, I swallowed my fear and said nothing. That night, while he showered, I picked up his phone with shaking hands. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure he could hear it through the bathroom door. The messages were gone. Deleted. I sat on the bed, numb, as the sound of running water filled the silence. When Daniel came out, wrapped in a towel, he smiled at me like nothing was wrong. "You okay?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Just tired." He kissed me again, and I hated myself for letting him. After that, doubt became my shadow. Every late night, every locked screen, every sudden smile at his phone, I started noticing things I had ignored before. New cologne, extra gym sessions, business trips that came up last minute. I wanted to confront him. I rehearsed speeches in my head. But every time I looked at him, my courage melted. What if I was wrong? What if I destroyed everything over paranoia? So I stayed silent. And silence I would learn, is the perfect hiding place for betrayal. One afternoon, my friend Sarah came over. She had known me since college. She was blunt, honest, and completely unimpressed by appearances. "You don't look good," she said the moment she sat down. "What's going on?" I tried to brush it off, but the words spilled out of me like a broken dam. The messages, the distance, the fear eating me alive. Sarah listened quietly, her face darkening. "Emily," she said slowly, "you need to find out the truth, not guess, not hope. The truth." "How?" I whispered. She leaned forward. "Check his laptop, or follow him. Something's off." The idea scared me. "I don't want to be that wife," I said. She grabbed my hand. "You already are. You're just hurting silently." That night, Daniel fell asleep quickly, his back turned to me. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, Sarah's words echoing in my head. "Find out the truth." Around 2 a.m., I quietly slipped out of bed and went to his home office. His laptop sat on the desk, closed. My heart raced. I hesitated, my hand hovering over it. This felt like crossing a line I could never uncross. But some lines are crossed for you, whether you want them or not. I opened the laptop. It was password protected. Of course it was. I tried a few guesses. Our anniversary. His birthday. Nothing. Then, on impulse, I typed the name of the company project he kept mentioning lately. The screen unlocked. My stomach dropped. Emails filled the screen. Most were work-related. But then I saw a folder on the side. Private. My fingers trembled as I clicked it. And that's when I saw a name that made my blood run cold. Lena. My breath caught in my throat. I clicked the first email. "I miss you already." My knees nearly gave out. I scrolled. Email after email. Blanks. Compliments. Confessions. Being with you feels real. I hate lying to her. Soon, we won't have to hide. Me. I covered my mouth to stop myself from screaming. 7 years. 7 years reduced to a secret folder. Tears streamed down my face as realization crashed over me like a wave. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was an affair. And it wasn't recent. It had been going on for months. I shut the laptop slowly, my hands numb. I stumbled back to the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at Daniel as he slept peacefully. The man I loved. The man who was destroying me. I wanted to wake him up, shake him, demand answers. But instead, something else stirred inside me. Something cold. Something dangerous. Because at that moment, I knew one thing with terrifying clarity. I was only seeing the beginning of his betrayal, and the worst was still waiting to be revealed. I didn't sleep that night. I lay beside Daniel, staring at the dark ceiling, listening to his calm breathing while my world burned silently. Every memory replayed in my mind like a cruel joke. Our wedding day, the vows, the way he once said I was his safest place. Safest! I almost laughed. By morning, my eyes were dry, but my heart felt raw, like it had been scraped open. Daniel woke up cheerful, stretching like a man with no sins. "Morning, he said, smiling. "You're up early." I studied his face, searching for guilt. There was none. Or maybe he had just learned how to hide it well. "Couldn't sleep," I replied. He leaned in to kiss me. I turned my face slightly, pretending to reach for my coffee mug. His lips landed on my cheek instead. For the first time in 7 years, his touch made my skin crawl. That day, I became someone else. On the outside, I was still the loving wife. I cooked his favorite meals. I asked about his work. I nodded and smiled. On the inside, I was watching, measuring, collecting. I needed proof, real proof, not just emails that he could deny or twist into excuses. I needed to know who Lena was, how deep this betrayal went, and most of all, I needed to know what he planned to do with me. 2 days later, Daniel said he had a late meeting. Again. "I'll probably be home after midnight," he said, adjusting his watch. I forced myself to stay calm. "Okay, I'll wait up." "No need," he replied quickly. Too quickly. "Get some rest." As soon as the door closed behind him, I grabbed my coat. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my keys. I followed him. I hadn't planned it. Not really. But my body moved on instinct, driven by a pain that refused to stay quiet. I kept a safe distance as his car merged into traffic. He didn't go toward his office. He drove across town. My heart pounded harder with every turn, every red light. Finally, he parked outside a modern apartment building, glass balconies, soft lighting, the kind of place you lived in when life was uncomplicated. He stepped out of the car, checked his phone, then smiled. That smile shattered something inside me. A woman appeared at the entrance moments later. She was tall, elegant, long dark hair flowing freely over her shoulders. She wore a fitted coat and heels, confident in a way I hadn't felt in years. She walked straight into his arms. I covered my mouth to muffle the sound that escaped me. They didn't hesitate. No awkwardness. No guilt. This wasn't new. He kissed her. Not the quick, familiar peck he gave me, but slow, intimate, like he had all the time in the world. I felt invisible. I sat frozen in my car as they went inside together, the glass doors closing behind them like a final answer. My husband had a second life. I don't remember how long I sat there. Minutes. Hours. Eventually, I drove home in silence, my thoughts screaming. That night, I didn't cry. Something worse replaced the tears, clarity. Daniel wasn't confused. He wasn't tempted. He was choosing her. The next morning, he came home acting exhausted. Meeting ran late, he said, loosening his tie. I nodded. I figured. He looked at me, curious. You okay? You've been quiet. I met his eyes. For a brief second, I considered ending it all right there, throwing the truth at him, demanding answers. But then I remembered Lena's smile, and I chose patience. I'm fine, I said softly. Just thinking. He smiled, relieved. And just like that, I realized how easy it was for him to lie. Over the next week, I became an actress in my own marriage. I learned his patterns. Tuesdays and Thursdays were late meetings. Saturdays were gym sessions that lasted hours. I searched his emails more carefully, his messages, even his social media. Lena wasn't just a fling. She worked with him. She was part of his world. Her full name was Lena Whitmore, marketing director. Recently divorced. No kids. Everything about her felt like a threat. One email made my hands tremble so badly I had to sit down. I hate pretending at home. She deserves someone better. I'll talk to her soon. Talk to her. About what? Divorce? My stomach twisted. That night, I finally broke. When Daniel came to bed, I turned toward him. Do you still love me? I asked. He froze. Just for a second, but it was enough. Of course I do, he said, too smoothly. Why would you ask that? I searched his face, hoping stupidly for honesty. Sometimes, I said carefully. I feel like you're already gone. He sighed, rolling onto his back. Emily, you're overthinking. Work's just stressful. There it was again. The lie. I nodded, pretending to accept it. But inside, something snapped. If he thought I was weak, if he thought I would quietly accept being replaced, he was wrong. The turning point came when I ran into her. By accident. Or maybe fate just wanted to watch me suffer. I was at a cafe near Daniel's office, killing time before meeting Sarah. I stood in line when a familiar laugh made my blood turn cold. I turned slowly. There she was, Lena. She looked even more stunning up close. Perfect skin, sharp eyes, confident posture. And then she looked at me. She smiled politely. Sorry, she said. Are you in line? Her voice was calm, warm. The woman sleeping with my husband was standing inches from me, and she had no idea who I was. Or maybe she did. No, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Go ahead. She nodded, ordering her coffee. I watched her hands. Her ring finger was bare. Of course it was. When she stepped aside, she glanced at me again. You look familiar. My heart skipped. Oh? I said. Yes, she said thoughtfully. Do you work around here? I smiled. No, I replied. But my husband does. Something changed in her expression. Just a flicker. Then she smiled again. Lucky him. I felt sick. Sarah arrived moments later, pulling me away before I could say something I couldn't take back. But Lena's words echoed in my mind. Lucky him. That night, I made a decision. If Daniel was planning to end our marriage, he wasn't going to do it quietly. And if Lena thought she was winning a prize, she was about to learn the cost of stealing someone else's life. I opened Daniel's laptop one last time and began forwarding emails to myself, everything. Beats plans, confessions, evidence. By the time I finished, my hands were steady. My heart was not, because buried deep in that folder, I found something worse than love letters. A document, a plan. And the moment I read the title, my breath stopped completely. Separation strategy, Emily. My husband wasn't just betraying me. He was preparing to erase me. I stared at the screen, my vision blurring, my heart pounding so violently I thought I might pass out. Separation strategy, Emily. My name looked foreign there. Cold. Clinical. Like I was a problem to be managed, not a wife he once promised forever to. I clicked the document, and just like that, My marriage officially died. The file was detailed. Too detailed. Financial breakdowns, asset divisions, legal notes, timelines. My husband, the man who used to hold my hand during storms, had reduced our life together to bullet points. Step 1. Emotional distance already established. Step 2. Introduce separation gradually. Step 3. Ensure minimal financial loss. Minimal financial loss. I felt like screaming. There was even a section titled Risk Assessment. My name appeared again. Emily is emotionally dependent, likely to accept terms quietly. That line shattered me. Emotionally dependent. Was that how he saw me? Weak, predictable, disposable? I slammed the laptop shut, my body trembling. Rage mixed with grief, forming something dark and dangerous inside me. Daniel wasn't just cheating. He was calculating. For 2 days, I moved like a ghost. I smiled when he smiled. I answered when he spoke. But inside, I was already planning my escape from the woman he thought I was. On the 3rd day, I called a lawyer. Her name was Margaret Lewis. Calm, sharp, experienced. As I sat in her office, my hands clenched around a folder filled with printed emails, messages, and that cursed document. She read silently, her jaw tightening. This, she said finally, is more than infidelity. This is premeditated abandonment. I swallowed hard. What does that mean for me? It means, she said, meeting my eyes, that you stop being passive. Immediately, she explained my rights, my options, the mistakes I needed to avoid. Most importantly, she said one thing that changed everything. Your husband believes he's in control, Margaret said. That's his weakness. I nodded slowly. Control. Daniel loved control. That night, I decided to confront him. Not to beg, not to cry, but to watch him lie to my face. We sat at the dining table, the same place we once planned vacations and laughed over cheap wine. Daniel, I said softly, are you happy? He looked surprised by the question. What kind of question is that? Just answer it. He hesitated. I guess. Work's stressful. I leaned forward. Are you seeing someone else? Silence crashed between us. His eyes widened slightly, then narrowed. No, he said quickly. Why would you ask that? I stared at him. I know about Lena, I said. His face drained of color. Who told you that? He demanded. So he didn't deny her. Interesting. I don't need anyone to tell me, I replied. I've seen everything. His jaw tightened. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples like I was the problem. This isn't what you think, he said. I laughed. It came out broken. Bitter. You wrote a separation strategy about me, I said quietly. That made him freeze. Completely. You went through my files? He asked, anger creeping into his voice. That's what you're worried about, I shot back. Not the fact that you planned my exit like a business deal? He exhaled sharply. Emily, you wouldn't understand. I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. Try me. He finally told the truth, or at least his version of it. He said he felt trapped, that our marriage had become routine, that Lena understood him in ways I didn't anymore. Every word stabbed deeper. She makes me feel alive, he said. I felt myself go numb. So I don't? I whispered. He looked away. That was answer enough. I was going to tell you, he added quickly. I just needed the right time. The right time. 7 years of my life deserved a scheduled ending? I shook my head. You already decided. You just wanted me to accept it quietly. He didn't deny it. I didn't want to hurt you, he said. I laughed again. Too loud. Too sharp. You destroyed me, I said. And you call that not hurting? That night, Daniel slept on the couch. I locked myself in the bedroom and cried until my chest hurt. Every memory came crashing down. Our first apartment. Late night talks. The way I trusted him completely. Blind love. That's what it was. And now I was paying the price. The next morning, something unexpected happened. Lena called me. I stared at my phone, my heart racing as her name flashed on the screen. How did she get my number? I answered. Emily, she said calmly. We need to talk. My voice was ice. About what? About Daniel, she replied. And about us. Yes. I agreed to meet her. Not because I wanted closure, but because I wanted to look Betrayal in the eye. We met at the same cafe where I had first seen her. She arrived confident, composed, like she had rehearsed this moment. I didn't know he was married at first, she began. I raised an eyebrow. But you know now. Yes, she said, meeting my gaze. And he told me you two were already over. I smiled sadly. Of course he did. She leaned forward. Emily, I'm not your enemy. I laughed softly. You're sleeping with my husband. She flinched. I love him. That word. Love. You love a man who lies to his wife and plans her financial ruin? I asked. Her confidence wavered. He said you were strong, she said quietly. That you'd move on. I felt anger rise again. So you both decided what I could handle? She hesitated. He's going to leave you. I know, I replied. The question is, at what cost? She studied me carefully now. What do you mean? I leaned closer. I mean, I said slowly, this story doesn't end the way you think it does. Her eyes narrowed, and for the first time, I saw fear in them. That evening, Daniel came home to find divorce papers waiting on the table. He stared at them, stunned. You served me? He asked. Yes, I replied calmly. I beat you to it. His jaw tightened. You think this changes anything? I met his gaze. Oh, Daniel, I said softly. This changes everything. Because he still didn't know. He didn't know I had evidence. He didn't know I had a plan. And he definitely didn't know that his biggest mistake wasn't falling in love with another woman. It was underestimating the one he betrayed. Daniel thought the divorce papers were a bluff. I could see it in his eyes, the irritation, not fear. To him, this was still a negotiation, a situation he could manage with calm words and calculated moves. You're acting emotionally, he said that night, folding the papers neatly. Let's talk when you've cooled down. I almost smiled, because that was the moment I realized something powerful. He still believed I was the same woman. I moved out 2 days later, not because I had to, but because I wanted control of the narrative. I packed quietly while he was at work, taking only what mattered: clothes, personal documents, memories that didn't feel poisoned yet. I moved into a small furnished apartment Sarah helped me find. It wasn't luxurious, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I slept without waiting for someone who might never come home. The legal process began quickly. Margaret moved like a chess master, filing motions before Daniel even realized what was happening. She uncovered things he thought were buried, accounts he forgot existed, bonuses he hid, investments he assumed I'd never question. Your husband underestimated you, she said during one meeting. That's working in your favor. Daniel's tone changed after that. His calls became tense. This is getting ugly, he warned. I kept my voice calm. You made it ugly. Then came the messages. Late night texts. I never meant to hurt you. We can still be civil. You're ruining this for everyone. Everyone. Not us. I stopped replying. Lena, however, did not stop. She began showing up where I least expected her. At the gym. At the grocery store. Once outside my apartment building. You're dragging this out, she said one afternoon, blocking my path. You're involved in something that isn't yours, I replied calmly. He loves me, she snapped. Let him go. I looked at her carefully. You don't want him, I said. You want the version of him that hasn't betrayed you yet. Her face reddened. You're bitter. No, I said. I'm awake. She laughed bitterly. You think winning money will fix you? I leaned in. I think truth will. She didn't understand what I meant. Not yet. The turning point came during mediation. Daniel walked in confident, dressed sharply, Lena waiting for him in the lobby like a trophy. Margaret squeezed my hand gently. Watch carefully, she whispered. People reveal themselves when they think they're winning. Daniel's lawyer spoke first, smooth, dismissive, offering a settlement that assumed I'd take less just to end the pain. Margaret listened quietly. Then she placed a thick folder on the table. Emails, messages, financial records. The separation strategy document. Daniel's face changed color. This, Margaret said calmly, demonstrates intent to deceive, financial manipulation, and emotional misconduct. The room fell silent. Daniel stammered. That's private. And legally admissible, Margaret interrupted. Especially when it proves premeditation. Lena shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Margaret continued. My client will not be accepting any settlement that rewards betrayal. Daniel looked at me, panic flickering for the first time. Emily, he said softly, we can talk about this. I met his gaze. We are, I replied. After mediation, Lena confronted him in the parking lot. I watched from a distance. Her gestures were sharp, angry, desperate. He tried to calm her. Failed. She slapped him. Hard. Something inside me loosened. Not joy. Release. Days later, Daniel called me. I need to see you, he said. His voice sounded broken. Why? I asked. Because I made a mistake. I agreed to meet him. Closure matters. We sat on a bench in the park where he once proposed to me. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. I lost her, he said quietly. I said nothing. She said she couldn't trust me, he continued. That if I could do this to my wife, I'd do it to her too. I almost laughed. She's not wrong, I said. He looked at me then, really looked. I didn't realize what I had, he said, until it was gone. There it was. Regret. I was blind, he added. I nodded. So was I. He reached for my hand. I pulled away. I don't want you back, I said gently. I want my life back. Tears filled his eyes. I never thought you'd fight back, he whispered. I stood up. That was your last mistake. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, the city lights glowing softly outside the window. I felt lighter, but I wasn't done. Because while Daniel was losing everything, one truth still burned inside me. Lena had walked away believing she escaped consequences. And the story wasn't over. Not until everyone paid the price for what they broke.